everybody. This is Sam Taggart with Can't Knock This, and I have a very special guest. He is known as the Hardcore Closer. His name's Ryan Stewman. He's written 6 books. He's on his 6th book, Hardcore Closer, Elevator to the Top, Bulletproof Business, Fuck Your Excuses, Kick-Ass Take Names, Emails, and Phone Numbers. And he's done over 1,100 blog posts and hundreds of awesome podcasts. A lot of you guys might want to follow his podcast, The Hardcore Closer. But excited to have you on the show, Ryan.
Hey, I'm excited to be here, Sam. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so let's dive into this. So it's interesting because you've done currently, kind of name off like all of your businesses that you're kind of juggling right now, because it sounds like you've just kind of worked your way into master of all trades. Tell us a little bit about what you're currently doing.
Yeah, so right now I own 6 companies. I own a real estate company called Alpha Equity Partners, and we buy and flip real estate, residential real estate mostly right now, and or residential real estate all right now. And I own another real estate company where we hold and rent properties, and it's called Wolfeman Assets. And I own an alarm company, yourfreealarm.com, and I own a technology company called Clixo, CLYXO. .com, and it's a social bookmarking site. So it's like, we have all these social media icons on our websites and business cards and commercials and videos, and Clixo is a simple, free technology that allows you to put all your social media things in one spot. And then I own a seminar and online educational business called Breakfree Academy. We're like one of the top digital training programs on the planet right now, which is actually really cool. And then I own a sales training and consulting company called Hardcore Closer, which is the coolest name of all of them, in my opinion. And
no, so, dude, that's like what attracted me. I was like, oh, I need to meet a hardcore closer. So,
well, I kind of got that name by accident, and just keeping it real, I'm like, I try not to be like the typical look at me kind that you get from the internet personalities. I kind of got that name on accident. I was drinking one day in the office, and there in the place where we were at, it was a title company, and there was the titles for mortgages and real estate transactions. And on this little old lady, this little old blue-haired lady came in, Marge, we'll call her, and she's gives me her business card to do some business, and on the card it said closer. And in closer, in the title world, that just means you're somebody who signs documents. That's it, right? You're a paper pusher.
Yeah.
But, I'm from the sales industry, so I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, oh, so Marge here is a closer, I bet she's a hardcore closer. Look at that, 70 years experience. And just kind of not to her face, obviously, after she left. It was just kind of funny. And I was like, hardcore closer's got a nice ring to it. We should set a website or something up like that. And I just kind of did it and didn't really think much of it. And a few months later, I needed a place to put some videos. I was like, I got some videos I need to record, and I need a website to put them on. And this was before, kids these days, they got lead pages and ClickFunnels and all that cool stuff. You used to have to build websites back when I started this stuff. And so it wasn't as easy as just throwing up another funnel, So I was just like, I'm going to throw these videos up on that Hardcore Closer website that I was screwing around and built. And I put the videos up there, and people start watching the videos. So I guess they were searching online and would find them, or were on Facebook and would find them. And then people started calling me the Hardcore Closer. They were like, that's that Hardcore Closer guy. That wasn't my intention, because I'm a pretty intense person, but I'm not a mean salesperson like you would typically associate with the hardcore. But it kind of stuck because my life's been pretty hardcore. I had an 8th grade education. I was adopted, been on drugs, been to jail, all that fun stuff. And so I just kind of ran with it. And I'm smart enough to know this, Sam. If the marketplace gives you a cool nickname, you better just accept that shit, because the next one may not be cool and you could get stuck with it, right? It's like, hey man, you want hardcore closer or shitty McShit pants, man? Because if you don't take hardcore closer, you know what you're going to get. So I just was like, hardcore closer will work. Thank you, sir. May I have another? And
I've had a few fair share of nicknames. Mine was Joe Dirt due to my mullet. I've had Sunshine due to I kind of looked like the fruity dude on Remember the Titans. I've had my fair share of not so great ones. I was like, oh, okay. But I wish I had. Now I'm kind of like the scooter boy, which isn't even that hardcore at all either. I ride a scooter door to door, by the way. So most people kind of laugh, but I'm like, it's just fun. So that's cool. No, that's
I'm
really
hoverboarding around the office right now, so it's all good. I feel you. I have AirPods on, and
I
I'm
love it.
hoverboarding around the office right now. So
Love it. So tell us a little bit about how you kind of got into writing. So you've written 1,100 blog posts, and you've written all these books. Like, how did it kind of just transition into, I'm selling mortgages, to I'm going to start more into the teaching and education piece of sales?
You know, that's a very good question. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that, man, and I have a really good answer. It's probably just been waiting to come out for forever, too, but nobody's ever asked me. But I got into writing because I saw the trends back in 2011. And the trends were people are talking less and typing more. 93% of all phone calls go unanswered. 99% of texts get seen, not necessarily read, but they get seen.
Mm-hmm.
And people these days, if you listen to like the younger generation, like I'm 37, almost 38, so like the younger generation, the folks in their early 20s, they're like, hey, don't call me unless like you're bleeding out and got shot somewhere, and then call 911, not me. You know, it's like if you're my friend or you love me, you will text me. You know, and I'm that way too. Like technically, I'm a millennial too. I'm like right now. I was born in October of '79, so like I'm the last. I'm like the first.
The last hurrah.
Yeah. I'm like the oldest millennial. You know, like literally, I'm probably the oldest millennial alive right now.
You squoze in. So, we squoze you in there. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, that's it, man. It's like, let me in. I didn't want to go with the other ones. They were lazy. I didn't want to go blaming people.
Love it.
So they're like, it's the millennials that suck. I'm like, wait, you raised them. Hold the fuck up. All right, back to the story. And so I saw the trend. I saw that people were talking less and texting more. And I thought, if I'm going to be able to get in front of more people and make more sales, then I'm going to have to learn to write, because people would rather read than talk. People would rather look at a text. Like even when I did mortgages 2008 to 2010, which was the last little stint that I did mortgages, then, and I had done mortgages since 2003, but like the last 2 years that I did mortgages, I would say a large majority, we'll put it in the 80+ percentile of my business, was handled through email and never, of course, text wasn't that big of a deal then. Everybody had flip phones and BlackBerry, so it was a little hard. But you know, 80+% of my transactions were done via email. And so they were good at one thing. So I'll give you an example. Like most salespeople are good at one skill set. So let's say that you've got a salesman that can go face to face and sell somebody, might be a door knocker or a networker, and that's their skill face to face. So let's liken that to like karate, right? That they're a master of karate, the black belt is face to face. Then you've got some people that are good in commercials, right? That can get on, you know, a video and shoot a commercial, and they're good. And let's say that that's like Aikido. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they got a black belt in Aikido. And then some of them are master networkers. Let's say that that's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. What I wanted to do was be a black belt in MMA. I wanted to be able to do all that. Get on the phone, get in their face, get in the network, be able to write to them, type to them, run commercials to them. I wanted to be able to say I was an expert closer and that I could close across in video, from the stage, face to face, on the phone, through text. And the biggest learning curve for me was learning how to write. Right? It was easy for me to sell face to face or on the phone or whatever. I've been doing it since like the 80s, like we talked about. Right? This is probably 88 that I have been doing that. And so, you know, I had mastered that skill, and I realized that a lot of salespeople had been perfecting those skills and then overlooked the skill of writing. And I can tell you this, I can attribute millions with an S of dollars of income to my writing ability. These days we don't make outbound phone calls. I make $4,000 or $5,000 every single day, like from one of our companies, and we never pick up the phone. Right? Never.
Wow.
We just don't pick up the phone. And so it's all done through writing. People read my stuff, they watch a video, they read my stuff, and they make the decision and buy. And I think that sales tool, because, you know, in the time that you and I, let's say we start on a job together, and we're on the sales job, and we're in cubicles, and your strategy is to cold call, and my strategy is to build a website and write. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, you're going to be making cold calls on day one. You're probably going to make a sale, maybe 2 or 3, right? Depending on, you know, what it is we're selling, how good you are. Day 2, 3, you're going to be way ahead of me at some point because of cold calls. But as soon as my site gets plugged in, Well, you can only cold call for 8 hours a day. My site's out there working 24/7. Different countries, different states, different counties, different time zones, different planets if they'll allow it. And I saw that was the trend, right? So then I might be a little slower in the beginning getting all my stuff set up, but it's like the tortoise and the hare. I could just keep running while the hare had to rest. And I realize that now, like I said, we've got a company that does $2 million a year and we never make an outbound phone call. We got another company that does $3 million a year. We never make an outbound phone call. My alarm company is still pretty new, but it'll probably do 6 figures this year. And we won't make any cold calls or outbound calls, and it's all due to writing. If you're out there and you're thinking, hey, I do need to get better at closing via text and closing via email and all that, I would recommend checking out a book called Kick-Ass Copyright and Secrets of a Marketing Rebel. And it's a $200 book by a man named John Carlton. And that book is what taught me. It was the beginning and the most impactful, but the beginning of teaching me to write. The second I read that book, I got it. Like, oh, so that's how you write. Aha! It was like that moment. So Kick-Ass Copyright and Secrets of a Marketing Rebel by John Carlton. It's like $200. Can't get it on Amazon. You got to Google it, find it from his site. But it's worth every penny, and it's been worth millions to me. Wow.
So what other things have you kind of taken as far as mentorship or education that has kind of gotten you to where you are today?
Well, I've invested about $500,000. I didn't finish the 9th grade.
Yeah, I was going to say, you dropped out at 8th grade, so it's like, obviously your English teachers are really good, and that's what made you a good writer.
Yeah,
so.
That's what it was. Yeah, I was like Doogie Howser. I didn't drop out. I graduated in the 8th grade, right? So,
you just graduated, exactly.
Yeah. And so, really, with the writing piece, it's a practice. I've just gotten better over the years. I've been doing it nonstop for 7 years, but I have an 8th grade was the last grade that I officially completed. But I've invested, this year I've invested, I know that I for sure paid Marshall Silver $30,000 back in May, to go to one of his events. I know that we've gone to Tony Robbins this year and so I probably spend $50,000 a year. I know I've spent well over $500,000 because I've had to tone it back, in the last couple of years because I've actually been too busy to attend everything. But, I've been mentored by some of the greatest people in business, Frank Kern, Russell Brunson, John Carlton, Kevin Nations. I've been Garrett J. White. I've been fortunate to invest in myself. I believe that, making an investment in yourself is never about the money. It's about, taking something, learning it, implementing it, and improving your life. And so I wasn't really into school. It was boring and it was a bunch of stuff that wasn't interesting to me. But one thing I do know is that if I find something that I'm interested in, I'm almost like somebody with Asperger's, you know what I mean? Like I'm all in. My focus does not shift until I get the answers that I'm looking for, and I become obsessed with it. And, I think we all have that within us in one form or another. And, I think a lot of people, just a side note, I became obsessed about my business and hired mentors to help me, spread my word. But I think a lot of us have something we're obsessed about, but we sell something else.
Yeah.
I've been in, I spent 4 years of my life in prison. I've been on the streets. I've worked, for drug dealers and I had a really rough childhood being adopted and dropping out of school. You can imagine all the statistics on the part of all that. And, going through and surviving all that, like we all come from some messed up background. And my calling was to help people that are in sales that come from a messed up background. Because let's face it, why we're out there knocking doors and making cold calls is because we don't have an Ivy League, Harvard, black book full of numbers of our dad's friends that are lawyers that we can call and get them to invest in our startup. You know what I mean? We got to go out there and beat the streets. You guys listen to this. You got to go knock doors, right?
Yeah.
That your network is strangers. And I'm not knocking. I'm just saying that those are the salespeople I know, not the people that pretend to have it all together for Monday. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I have this huge calling in my life, so I'm passionate about it. So I invested lots of money to be able to chase that passion over the years. And I think a lot of salespeople, they have something they're passionate about, but then they're working, selling something else. Man, I don't care if you're passionate about baseball cards or Pokemon game, man. There's somebody making billions of dollars selling Pokemon something or others. You know what I mean? So oftentimes you think you're selling the right thing when you're not, and you need to be selling the thing that you're obsessed with or at least passionate about.
So what made you kind of start this little alarm company? It sounds like you've only been running that for about 120 days. What made that kind of opportunity come about?
Well, that is a really good question. So, I work with a lot of real estate agents and loan officers. And one of the things that comes up in that world an awful lot is, people will ask, they'll say, what's a good closing gift? And I realized that, closing gifts can be expensive. They can be a pain in the ass to put together, and they can go unappreciated because nobody really gives a damn about flowers. Let's be real,
Mm-hmm.
Or a fruit basket. Half that shit don't ever even get eaten, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most people would rather have a giant cookie. And so I moved into a house last year. I lived in a penthouse in like the nicest building in Dallas for about 3 years, and lived up there with like rock stars and ball players and stuff like that. Dude, it was so awesome. But my wife and kids talked me into moving away from my bachelor pad and settling down in the suburbs. And at the penthouse, I got accustomed to having a doorman, a dude that was down there, and he opened the elevator for us, and he scanned everybody that went through there. He called us before people came up, and I was used to having security on site. And so we got an alarm put in our house to where I could see cameras from all over and all this stuff, and I thought it was really cool. And I thought, well, this is a really cool closing gift. And they gave us like free installation and, the same stuff they do for every alarm or whatever. Yeah. But I didn't know about any of that, and I thought it was really cool that they installed it and gave me some stuff for free. And I was like, this would be a really good closing gift for the real estate agents that I work with. And so I started offering the real estate agents a little rebate. It's like, hey, here's the deal where you can send me your client. You can tell them that you bought an alarm for them. I'll give you $100 for every one that we close. We'll get them an alarm system. We'll upsell them on the cameras and stuff like that. I profit. You look like a hero. You profit. They get a free alarm for their house. Their family sleeps safe at night. And what's a better closing gift than, And so I've been doing that for about 4 months now, and I've had to fire 2 sets of alarm people. One guy's I gave 600 leads to, and they closed like 7. And
wow.
And a lead for me is like somebody who's like, oh, Ryan Stewman? Oh, yeah, dude. Hey, here it is. Take my money. Like, I don't play around. Like, I have a very good reputation, and people trust me, and if it's a referral from me, like, it's a shit, they're sitting there with their wallet out. And so these guys, they just didn't do a good job. The first guy, he just couldn't understand. There's a huge difference, and your show will understand this, your listeners. There's a huge difference between door knocking and inbound leads, right? The way that you handle the lead, the way that you handle the customer, the language used is completely different. And I had, as you know, in the alarm business, most of the mentality is knock on the door. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I had a different way of selling, and I just couldn't get these guys to get away from that, have to close them at the door type of mentality. And so that's why they were turning people off, because I was sending leads that were referral, like a real estate agent that closes 100 deals a month, you know what I mean, and a loan officer that closes 30 deals a month. So those were the kind of referrals, and these guys are thinking, they were just short-sighted. They were thinking I had to close both of them. Both sets of guys that I hired, but now I have some people that work strictly on referrals prior to linking up with me, and they seem to be doing a good job.
So what are the differences between, handling a lead versus just cold calling and knocking a new door? Like, where do you see those differences?
Well, I've done my fair share of door knocking and cold calling. I've been in sales since '88, so I've been, around the block, and there wasn't social media and iPhones and text messages, obviously, back then, and so I've done it. But I also know that I have evolved with technology. Even being an old man at this point, I've still evolved with technology. And, every time something new came out, I've always embraced it. Text messages came out, and people were like, oh, man, don't be doing text messages to your clients. And I'm like, why not? They like them. They don't like the phone. Why would I get them on the phone? And people say, oh, man, don't be using Facebook with your clients. I'm like, why not? They like it, And so, like, that's always been my my attitude like evolving with that. But now I know this. Like, I have an alarm on my house because I don't want to answer the door. I'm not scared of anybody. I live in Texas. You know what I mean? Like, everybody around me is armed and nobody is doing anything. Like, it's just like, we're all safe down here. You don't ever hear, like, no crazy attacks in Texas. You know what I'm saying? Like, last time a terrorist tried to attack us, an off-duty security guard shot that son of a bitch in the head, right? Like, it's just like, that's how off-duty. He wasn't even on the job. He just happened to be a random citizen with a gun. It's like, oh, there he is, goddammit, bam! Right? It's like, we're safe here.
Yeah.
And so, you know, but I don't want to deal with the people at the door because, like, let's just say that, like, I'm in my backyard and I'm smoking a joint. Someone knocks on my door and I'm all paranoid, stuff like that. I don't want to deal with all that. You know what I mean? Or I want to be able to scan who's there and avoid that. And so I know that most people are that way. You know, you're eating family dinner and the doorbell rings. There was a time where it's like, someone's at the door. And now it's like, who the hell's here?
Yeah.
Who would just show up without texting first? You know?
It's so true. And
I'm not against it. Like I said, it works, but I figure it would be easier for me. And like, let's just take door knocking, for example. You knock on a door. If somebody's there, it's 5 or 10 minutes as long as they don't slam the door on you. If somebody's not there, you wait 2 or 3 minutes and you walk 30 to 45 seconds to the next house. You're there, you knock 2 or 3 minutes, whatever, like you're doing your thing. Well, with mine, again, it's that tortoise and hare thing. I realized that with technology, I can set up an advertisement for $10 a day and drop it on the neighbor. Like, I can drop a GTS pin on the neighborhood that I would normally knock doors in, and I would just run an advertisement that week for $10 a day that says, so let's say $60 for 6 days because I ain't going to work on Sundays. And so $60 for 6 days in that neighborhood specifically, just people in that particular neighborhood. And the ad would be something like, you know, free alarm for members of Prestonwood Homeowners Association this week only. Sign up to get yours delivered to your house by Friday. Everybody who signs up for that, those are the doors that I'm going to knock. And I'm going to show up instead and be like, hey, remember that ad you filled out for the free alarm? Boom, let me put it in for you. And there, here's the paperwork to get started, or whatever that next process is in your business as far as alarms. And so instead of knocking the doors, I might have spent $50, but I've not spent $50 to go and drive back and forth in gas all week either. I'm waiting for them to hit me up, and then on Friday I show up and close everybody all at once. I might be starving Monday through Thursday, might be hitting 30 people in that neighborhood, but those 30 people are for sure lay down, give me your credit card sales because they've already been indoctrinated from my $50 ad.
This is great. So let's keep running on this thread. So let's hypothetically say, okay, that's one way. What other ways do you find that you could leverage social media, text, blog, writing, kind of your talents to supplement what a door-to-door guy, you know, generating more business? Yeah.
Well, a couple things, like social media is huge for door knockers. And here, like, let's just say roofing, right? I give you an example a minute ago running an ad for alarms. Let's talk about roofing now because those are a big door knock deal down here in Texas.
Yeah.
And roofers and meat guys are the hardest to convince that there's another way, right? You tell a roofer, hey, man, you don't have to knock doors. They're like, what? Do what? No, you mean like ring the doorbell? Like, no, like can't knock doors. I know, it's ring the doorbell. No. Anyway, meat guys are the same way. They're like, yeah, but this is how everybody sells meat. I'm like, you ever heard of Omaha Steaks? They ain't knocking on nobody's door, and they're selling a million times the beef you are, bro. Like, and I'm just, and the reason why I say this is like, but door knock, those are the two people that just cling to it. And the roofers, man, this is what I would do. Two things on social media for free. First of all, for free. Like, keep this in mind. This does not cost you anything. I would go and I would connect with insurance agents in my area. So you can go on Google, you can go on the yellowpages.com, you can go on Yelp, and you can see like the top insurance agencies in your area, like, right? Like not just Liberty Mutual and State Farm. I'm talking about like John Johnson, Farmers Insurance Agent for Life, like that dude that's been around for a long time, right? And then you hit him up on social media and you start a relationship with him. You know, it's like, hey, I'm in the roofing business, he in the insurance business, probably pretty good to connect. You know, be friends with him, like his post, share his post, all that kind of stuff. Just like, you know, start doing what we call social reconnaissance, where you like checking him out, getting to know him, and everything else. But then I would hit him up the next hailstorm that happens. I'd be like, hey, man, I know you're about to get a bunch of claims. You can trust me to take care of those claims. And depending on the legalities of your state, you might be able to kick the insurance agent money back. I know some states you can, some states you can't. So you might offer that to us. Hey, man, for every roof you send me, I'll give you $500. Or you might say, hey, for every roof that you send me, I'll take you out to steak dinner or buy your wife a handbag or whatever that's going to have some value to that guy.
Yeah.
Right. But if he's going to have, if he's doing 100 policies a week and he's got a big insurance agency and there's a hailstorm, there's going to be 100 people a week of business that he's calling needing a new roof and needing to get it inspected. And if the insurance agent is like, oh yeah, you need to call old Sam, man, Sam Taggart, get you right hooked up. He's the number one door knocking roof selling service. Like, he's going to hook you up. And you're going to go in there with social proof, and you're not going to have to knock the door to a stranger. You're going to knock the door to somebody who's like, oh, Sam, man, it's great. John Johnson, the insurance agent, said you'd be here. Glad to meet you. Our roof screwed up. So I'll be connecting with insurance agents, and really I'll be connecting with loan officers, too, because insurance agents rely heavily on auto dealers and mortgage bankers to get referrals from. And so if you can show up and you can say, hey, man, I'd like to do some roofs for you in exchange, I can introduce you to a few loan officers who can send you some business. Bam, you're in.
And that's critical because a lot of people don't realize, like, it's kind of like a bigger value add than the steak dinner is usually I have a network that I can connect you to as well. It's a huge value add.
Zig Ziglar said it. You help enough people get what they want, they'll help you get what you want.
Yep. So let's kind of transition out and your follow-up process. So door-to-door people, they get into a mindset of just on to the next door. This morning I did a whole podcast on referrals and this 10-step referral process. But the reality is there's two problems in this industry is they don't take the time to do the follow-up and they don't mind the referrals in an effective way. So what are some best practices that you've had for people maybe you couldn't close on the first visit and like the follow-up and like keeping them in the loop and trying to reclose or doing, your post couldn't get them the first time? And then I'll also ask you kind of what is your, referral process to kind of like keep mining more referrals?
First, I think it's good to lose the mentality of the one call close. I know that salespeople right now just gasped. What the hell is he talking about? And the thing is, though, these days that's just not as common as it used to be, right? When you used to could get somebody on the phone to the front door, it might be their only option. Now you get somebody on the phone to the front door, they can Google it and go, it's bullshit. It says right here this was last week too. You know what I mean? So the scarcity that used to exist for those like one-stop close isn't the same anymore. Am I saying they don't exist and they're impossible? No, but hear me out. I'm going to show up until better for getting them. Yeah. If you'll go into the relationship assuming that they owe you nothing and assuming that they're not going to do business with you on the first date, and by the way, it's just like having a good girlfriend. Usually if she lets you smash on the first date, she's probably let a few other dudes that too, and she's probably not good quality chick. If she makes you wait a couple of dates, just a couple of dates, right, ladies? Don't be holding out too long. Just a couple of dates. You have some more respect for her. You know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, she got a little, self-control. Well, it's the same with prospects. You have to treat them the same way you have to date them. And so the first thing that I would do, instead of showing up at a prospect's house, knocking on the door and go, fire an alarm now, let me close you out. What I'd do is I'd show up and I'd say, hey, I just wanted to make you aware that there is some safety concerns going on here in the neighborhood, and I've made a pamphlet with this crime statistics and some people to be on the lookout for, and some child molesters that are in your neighborhood, because unfortunately they're in almost every neighborhood. There's at least one sexual predator almost everywhere. I mean, sex crimes are on the rise and everything else. It's not hard to compile statistics to show that, hey, within a 2-mile radius of your house, there's a couple sexual predators, right? And most people, no matter where you live, that's the case, especially somewhere like me. I live in a town of 400,000 people. I'm sure there's plenty in the area, right? It's like, that's just how it is these days. And so I would show up and say, hey, I want to keep, we're in the neighborhood watch here, and I want to keep you and your family safe and let you know what's going on here. And at the back of that, let's get a free alarm with yourfreealarm.com. And so then I've gone in there and I've explained to them and I've shown value to them. Hey, your neighborhood is safe, but here's some things that you need to watch out with, and so on and so forth. Include a few news stories about break-ins in the area, some stuff like that. And at the end, it's like, hey, we can offer you a free alarm. Take this in this evening. And if you're interested to find out more about free home security and stuff like that, then just fill out the information on the back of that page. Then you're going to have less time at the door pitching them and more time saying, here, just want to give you some safety statistics. We're with the Neighborhood Watch here. Give you some safety statistics and offer you some free alarms. If you have questions, you can call us at this number. Now, there's going to be a certain amount of people that go, wait, did you say free alarm? And those are most likely going to be your one-stop closes. But then there's going to be a lot more of them that are going to go to the internet and look up the things that you gave them and then ultimately consider that alarm offer. And then when you go back to follow up with them on the phone, then you can set up a time to go back out there and actually close them.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you go into the thing assuming that if you don't close them right now on the spot, there's a couple things going to happen. A, you're going to say some desperate stuff, right? Like you're going to be a little aggressive, a little pushy, and you're going to blow it, and you're not going to want to follow up because you're going to think that you were over the top aggressive anyway, and you know they thought the same thing. The second thing is if you go in there and you expect to close them right on the gap, then you're going to be a little more relentless than before, and that's off-putting as well. So the key is to go in there assuming that you're going to go out on multiple dates and then offer them value. You go out on a date, you go take her to a steak dinner with fine wine or champagne or whatever the case, right? You don't show up and take her to McDonald's, not any good girl. And so you're going to take her somewhere nice. And the same thing, you're going to show up, you're going to have a packet to present, some kind of literature to present for your clients. If I'm a roofing company, I might run an advertisement in the neighborhood where I drop off on people's front door and say, hey, get your gutters cleaned for free. Get your gutters cleaned for free. Hell yeah, because if I get on the roof and find hail damage up there, I'm closing your ass, I'm fixing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, so what do you do? So let's talk referrals. You close them and you, at the end, how do you ask for referrals? How do you contact those referrals? Like, what's some of your best practices there?
We always ask for referrals. I got about 5 minutes and I'm on to my next appointment here, but we always ask for referrals, and I feel like if you did a good job and they're happy, then don't they want their friends to be happy as well? And I always ask them that. It's like, hey, they think you did a good job? Awesome. Yeah, man, you guys did a great job, so you're 100% satisfied with it. Of course. Well, you probably have some friends that need this help too, and you'd want them to feel the same emotion that you feel right now. Who do you think I should reach out to? I promise not to bother them or be too aggressive or pushy, but I'd like to let them know what we did here and make it available for them as well. And you'll find that most people in that moment, if they're happy, they just told you they're happy, they're not going to go against their core beliefs and not give you people. Now, they might say, you know, I don't know anybody who owns a home, or I would definitely give you a referral, and that's okay too. They might say, you know, I don't know anybody who's really looking for an alarm, but you're my guy. That's okay too. But at least you asked.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, the important part is just to ask, because you'd be surprised at how many people actually give just by just saying, yeah, they want to.
You do a good job for me, Sam. I want you to be my friends too. You know what I mean? And I want you to get paid for it. Like, that's just how I feel. I believe most people feel the same way. You do a good job, then they want to do a good job for you. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree. So to kind of wrap this up, I know your time's short, and I do appreciate 100% your time, Ryan. I know obviously it's very limited, and you're juggling so many different things. The last question I ask is just simply, if you were to give the door-to-door industry, obviously you've trained and consulted and done workshops for the sales industry in general, but if you were to give advice, like one piece of advice for, you know, a sales guy in this industry, what would that advice be?
Well, my advice would be to learn sales funnels. Like in my city, in Plano, it's illegal to knock doors without a permit. And permits, they don't like giving them out, so it's like basically illegal to knock doors. But if you have somebody's permission, you can show up at their house. And so what salespeople need to do is they need to learn the future of sales. There's nothing wrong with going to the doorstep, but you can take a few steps before that will benefit you as well. And I have a program, we talked about it briefly, it's called Breakfree Academy Entourage. It's a monthly coaching and consulting program where we teach how to build sales funnels, talking about earlier. It's actually super easy to do stuff that you can have an entire website that generates leads for you with an advertisement at $10 a day up and going within less than 2 hours. And so I would urge the salespeople that, you know, are looking to knock doors, like you might be knocking doors from 7, like let's say 3 to 4 in the afternoon, nobody's home, 7 to 8 at night, they're eating dinner. This gives, you know, if you learn the future of sales, to be able to run ads and to be able to get people to give you their name, email address, and phone number showing interest in what it is that you sell, they can do that 24 hours. Somebody could be waking up at 2 in the morning or just get home from their nursing shift at 4 in the morning. You're not going to knock on their door, but they might be searching or they might see your advertisement in their news feed and it be the service that they need. So there's nothing wrong with knocking doors, but like I said, you need to learn mixed martial arts, because if you go into the UFC and all you do is no karate, you get your ass kicked, right? Some dude gets you on the ground, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And so I would just highly recommend it's breakfreeacademy.com/entourage. And it's $297 a month or $2,500 a year. We send out stuff in the mail every month. We've got 680 members. We do monthly coaching and all that stuff. It'll show you the future of sales and allow you to implement it to where you've got this bolt-on thing that's generating leads when you're not knocking doors as well, which ultimately the goal would be to transition you to where the only doors you knock on are the ones that open up with a credit card in their hand.
That's awesome. No, and I think a lot of sales guys need to realize that, there's power in door-to-door, but there's also power in, like, other avenues to supplement and, like, soften those doors.
Yep.
Ryan,
there you go. Good way of putting it.
I really appreciate your time. This has been really insightful, and honestly, it's cool to see, different people from different industries and different, sales styles and different insights, because a lot of times we've just been taught from our, the person that taught us, they taught the person that taught them, and it's just kind of this passed down traditions of, like, where we learn all of our stuff. And so sometimes getting outside of our box really kind of opens up our eyes. So anybody that's listened to this, I hope they've kind of been inspired to try to get outside the box, and yeah, I appreciate your time, and hopefully we can connect soon. So thanks a ton, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Sam. And everybody, one last thing is, even if you don't want to join the Entourage program, which is insane, I'll give you a free paperback copy of my book, Elevator to the Top. You can get it by going to elevatortothetop.com. And my book, everything you need to know about sales from day one to retirement. We've sold, I don't know how many, like 20,000 copies of that thing or something like that. So I'll give you a free paperback copy. Just go over to elevatortothetop.com, fill it out, and we'll send it to you. Thanks again, Sam.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. Okay, we'll see you.